interestingly, you will see, unlike IT, which grew essentially out of initiative in the private sector, Biotech has grown with a lot of investment and encouragement by the government. I have been in the system almost from the beginning, 1982. We started as a board, biotechnology board, became a full-fledged department of biotechnology in 1986. And I have been with the system, kind of worked with almost every secretary. So, but I'm not going to talk about biotechnology. I think the topic given is startups. So I think I will confine to that. And the most exciting thing that happened was the start of this BIPP. I'll explain it very briefly. The entire credit for that goes to Dr. N.K. Maharaj Ban, who was the former secretary of the Department of Biotechnology. You have this general issue of biotechnology, for example, as an example. And the government or the society has been asking, where is the product? Where is the science getting converted? And, this happened in life science as well. Huge amount of support by the government. Very good groups were built, but one did not see applications. And that's what drove Maharaj Ban. I remember he visited the United States in early 2000 and came across this SPIR program. I'll explain. He called me and said, GP, I want to start a similar program in India. If you would chair the technical committee, I will go ahead. That was fine with me. I'm not good at government policy, etc. But yes, technical aspect, I do have some knowledge. So he said, let's start. He came back, started SPIR, Small Business Innovative Research Initiative. Basically, allowing small and medium industries to make applications. The government will give 50% and the industry has to contribute 50%. But, one did not expect it will take off so well. In 2-3 years, many companies, small and medium companies have come, established proof of principle, then started asking, then what? So, if you really have to go all the way up to commercialization, then you have to have many schemes, many steps for them to move forward. Then came what is called as BIPP, Biotechnology Industry Partnership Program, Contract Research Scheme. Academia also had to be supported, not publication, research that will lead to product and processes. And a huge number of bifurcations took place. And that became, in 2012, BIRAC, SIBRI started in something like 2005. In 2012, BIRAC started. BIRAC stands for Biotechnology Industry Partnership Program, BIP. Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, BIRAC. It used to be called a Section 25 company. It's now a Section 8 company. Now, what has happened over the years, a huge number of schemes have happened. To cut the story short, we have something like 700 proposals running and equal number of companies being supported. The most exciting of all these is the BIG grant, Biotechnology Ignition Grant. This is for youngsters, those who are just freshers, let us say, maybe PhDs, maybe BTech, maybe MTech, but who have decided to start a company rather than going for postdoctoral fellowship abroad. This has really caught on. I don't say it has changed the environment, but substantial number have decided to start a company because BIG program gives you 50 lakhs for 18 months if you are selected. So this is a great thing that has happened a few years ago. And now there are something like 600 proposals running. Now, Ignition Grant, is really exciting because these are all young people who want to try out something. Of course, they don't have to invest anything. They are getting a grant of 50 lakhs for 18 months. And this is became too much for us to monitor. I used to go almost every week to Delhi to, all these schemes. It's not as if they will be just funded. They have to be shortlisted. There has to be a site visit. I don't go on site visits, but there are a lot of experts who go on site visits. Reports have to come. Then there will be an apex meeting, which is chaired by the secretary of the department. So it's a huge process. So what we did for Ignition Grant is concerned, it has been completely decentralized. Identified something like 10 mentors. For example, C-Camp in Bangalore, IKP in Hyderabad, in Delhi, IIT Delhi, Venture Center in Pune, NCL, and kids in Bhubaneswar, like that. They themselves invite applications and they themselves make the selection. And if, the central committee only does a review once a year. Otherwise, I don't know whether, I don't think Chennai or Tamil Nadu is involved in these, but more recently, another dozen have been added as associate mentors. The whole idea is to spread this message so that a lot more young people who come forward make startups. And to further support, these are all individual projects. As I said, there are 600 of them. The biotechnology department started what is called the Bio Incubator. There are 60 odd bio incubators in the country, all over the country. And these bio incubators, each incubator is supported by DBT. Of course, incubators will have, say, 20 startups. And they will have all the facilities for these startups because startups cannot afford all expensive equipment and so on. So that central part would be supported by DBT, but the startups would pay for the use, and that's how the each incubator will run, because the incubator gets grant from the government also. And this has now become, to cut the story short, biotech value, bioeconomy as they call it, I remember a few years ago it was $10 billion. Right now it is $60 to $70 billion. And the government of India said it should be $100 billion 2025. But the way it is progressing, CAGR of something like 20%, and they said it will be $150 billion. It is still a smaller amount compared to the IT sector, but I must tell you, biotech is a lot more penetrating. Health and disease, food and agriculture, environment. Almost every aspect of life is governed by biotech. And this is how you now see more than 120 products have been commercialized. All this, most of them are small and medium companies and startups. They have been commercialized. Of course, I do not know how well they do in commercial, space. I do not know. But there have been unicorns, for example, 7 to 10 unicorns in the last few years. So there have been initially hesitation to invest in biotech because it's an experimental science. It takes effort. It's not like IT. So a lot of laboratory work is involved. So, but now I feel the scenario is changed. There are venture capitalists coming. There is support, and therefore more and more youngsters are coming for startups in this sector. As I said, 120 products have been commercialized. My only concern is these are all devices and diagnostics. All are devices and most of them. But what happens to drug development? But of course, it helped a great deal in vaccine development. COVID, I chaired the technical committee of COVID vaccine development in the country. Really speaking, many, at least half a dozen vaccines they are in the phase 3 clinical trial. You will see some of them very soon, which has tremendous application that is possible. But in general, drug development takes a long time. So, and investment is very large. Therefore, I see most of the successful projects are in devices and diagnostics. And that is not adequate. And one of the lacunae I find, for example, AI, IoT, all based diagnostics are coming, devices are coming. But the central reagent will be an antibody. The central reagent will be a protein. So I'll ask this question, where do you get it? No, sir, that will be imported. We will make the hardware. And that is where, Atmanirbhar Bharat, as we say, we have to make all reagents in this country. This is upstream research, not just downstream research. That is where I feel we still have the lacunae. For example, when COVID struck, we had no diagnostic, I can tell you. Of course, the country caught up very well. Now we have 1,400 plus testing centers. RT-PCR has become a household word now. So, but initially there was a huge problem. So we still have country imports a lot of reagents. Many things are still imported. That is where we have to do ourselves. We have to make ourselves. And I do really believe these startups will do, and they are very bright ideas. These are all young kids who have phenomenal guts, I should say. And initially, I found them IIT Mumbai or IIT Madras even, by projects. But I thought, okay, it's fine, you have developed the hardware, how do you validate it? Often you will see they have to do a clinical trial. Often they need a clinician. Often they need an oncologist. I know that was not there, but now things have changed. They have understood. He will be surrounded by a biologist, by a clinician, by someone who knows how to do clinical trial. So, things are, I feel, changing a lot, but I said there are lacunae. I don't have much time. I was really concerned with agriculture, for example, application of technology in agriculture. There are not many startups in agriculture. There are a few. But that was because, you can't apply technology. GM, genetic modification is in doldrums, actually. But fortunately, a few days ago, I don't know, some of you might have read, gene editing has been approved in India. At least what we call as the SDN1 and SDN2 levels. I don't have time to explain, but these two levels of gene editing are allowed. Gene editing means you don't bring a gene from outside. The existing gene is modified. And a country like USA has at least 60 products already in agriculture. Therefore, it is a tremendous possibility. I am happy at least gene editing has been approved, at least genetic modification. Of course, it's also a genetic modification, but this is something which nature itself does it. So these two levels have been approved. It happened only 5 days ago or something like that. So I am something is I think we should really exploit this thing and then go for agriculture, application of technology in agriculture, whether it is biotic stress, whether it is abiotic stress, whether it is other applications in agriculture. It's very, very important that we make use of gene editing. It's I don't know whether in intellectual property, whether people are following. There was a big fight between University of California and MIT. Both of them are claiming, and it went on and on for more than 2-3 years. But I think maybe a month ago it has been decided the IPR belongs to MIT. Therefore, it's not only a question of applying gene editing, it's also a question of applying how to wade through this IPR. You have to license out the technology. All these issues are there, but there are countries, at least 8 to 10 countries are able to penetrate the IPR. For example, there's an enzyme required Cas9 for this gene editing, and they have modified this Cas9, or they have come up with a new Cas9. Therefore, they can do patenting. So this kind of innovative thinking is needed, and it is possible only with the young minds. People like me, we only talk about based on experience, but the innovation really comes from young minds. So I think agriculture is something which is dear to me as well, and we really need to really think, this, and that is where, because there are children of agriculturists. Children of agriculturists, they can all get into this area and, contribute to agriculture, contribute to modern agriculture. India, we talk all the time about health and these, devices and diagnostics, and we are an agriculture country. So I really think we need to apply technology to agriculture. Of course, no less important is health. But I do believe I really do not know where Tamil Nadu actually stands in the biotech field. It's generally between Bangalore and Hyderabad, and Delhi to some extent, Pune, Ahmedabad. But I really think there are some projects supported by BIRAC, I know. IIT Madras has some projects supported. But I really think this is an opportunity, great opportunity for Tamil Nadu to get into it, because it's an agricultural centers are there. There are many, not only agriculture, even health is equally important. And I wish, biotech is taken much more invest. One thing I should tell you in Karnataka, because I remember Vision Group. For every scheme that the center supports, the Karnataka government mimics it and then say we will equally support. So that kind of support is available to the people. That makes a lot of people come to Bangalore, and it's getting overcrowded in a literal sense. So looking for tier 2 cities, looking for tier 3 cities. So I do believe, the state government also would support, along with the central government, the startups in this area would really contribute a great deal. And I wish the seminar all the very best. Thank you.